the update on the Ukraine and Russia talks. As I mentioned, the negotiation teams are meeting in Saudi Arabia. There was kind of news over the weekend here about the Russians kind of dragging their feet a little bit and wanting more concessions. Sean, what is your sense of where we stand as a next round of negotiations start?
I mean, I'm cautiously optimistic. I don't think that there's been that much that's developed. I think the Europeans are trying to figure out where they stand, what they can put forward. Steve Witkoff, the special envoy out there over the weekend, um, trying to get the conditions right. I mean, I think I don't see a ton of movement in the last 7 days, but I also think a lot of this is happening behind the scenes.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing that I just flag, and this is what yours truly and others said a couple of weeks ago, is the Russians seem to want more concessions, and this is why people were so worried about Trump leaning so hard on Zelensky so early. Trump got a bunch of concessions from Ukraine, and now the Russians are like, great, that is the starting point, not the end point. We want more, and so I think, as you say, Sean, cautiously optimistic that Trump can land this plane and bring an end to the war that's going to provide lasting peace and for Ukraine to remain one. But we will see
Yeah,
here.
I mean, I think I mean, we said this before, but I know for all of us who watch this stuff and are junkies, you want an update like every 10 seconds. I think we'll, in a month or whatever, we'll know whether or not it worked. And the other thing is, with respect to Russia, in terms of concessions, it's all going to be out there. So everyone will be a judge on their own, whether or not it was a deal or not deal. The one thing that I think is funny is, I was reading, I had a hard copy of the New York Times, and I thought, hey, it's Sunday, I'll flip through it. Some interesting article. I mean, it was sort of like the flyer, the flyer you get during the DNC that's all about like I mean, but the one thing that was so funny is they keep talking about how Trump was going to give away this or that. And I'm like, tell me a realistic scenario in which parts of Ukraine didn't end up in Russia, that's where you had a negotiated peace. I mean, there's certain realities that some people still won't get their head wrapped around that I think is somewhat funny.
Yeah, and I will say, because I've been skeptical of Trump, one thing to flag here, and Mark, you've talked about this a lot, is the Europeans do appear to be getting more serious about their own common defense. And I think Germany approved over the weekend I think the biggest expenditure on arms since the Second World War. People may have that may make people feel good or bad, but Trump's, desire for Europe, and frankly, America's desire for Europe to take more responsibility, he does seem to be making material progress, and that is good in the long run for
Right.
Europe and for us. So,
Yeah, a stronger Europe is good for Europe. It's good for us. It's good for the world. So these things where they're going to spend more money, not just Germany, but France and the UK in particular, talking about this, is good for the world. The more
yeah.
that these guys actually fulfill their own commitments and look after themselves, make up less dependent on us, that's good.